Get out of here, old lady. The cop's voice cut through the air. Loud, sharp, humiliating. The crowd froze. Steps went silent. Eyes turned. Then his hand, swinging fast. The crack rang out. Skin on skin. Phones trembled in people's hands. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The woman didn't fall. Didn't even flinch. She just stood. Still. Unbroken. The cop leaned in. You don't belong here. His grip tightened on her arm. Another officer blocked her path. Another shoved from behind. The silence broke. Whispers spilling like fire. Yo, did he just slap her? Man, that's somebody's grandma. Record this. Don't stop rolling. But she stayed calm. Too calm. Her eyes steady. Almost daring them. And in that moment, everyone watching felt it. Something wasn't right. Something they couldn't see yet. Because none of them knew who she really was. But let's go back, just a few minutes earlier. The courthouse was alive. Lawyers rushing. Shoes clicking. Coffee spilling. Deals being made on the steps. Morning, counselor. See you on the 10th floor. And then she appeared. The old woman. Handbag clutched. Steps steady. Eyes fixed. People noticed right away. A young man muttered, "She don't look like she belong here." His friend laughed. Probably lost. Happens all the time. Two students on the side whispered, "Yo, the cops are watching her close." Because she ain't one of them, bro. That's how it always goes. A lawyer sneered. Court's no place for charity cases. Another smirked. Don't waste the judge's time, Grandma. But she kept moving. Step by step. Quiet. Unbothered. And in that silence, the divide was clear. Wolf on one side. Ordinary folks on the other. And her, right in the middle. The crowd kept whispering. The phone started recording. Everyone watching. Everyone waiting. She didn't come here by mistake. She came here for a reason. Her name was Evelyn Johnson. 75. Atlanta, Georgia. The kids back home called her Grandma Eve. Miss Johnson kept me in school. She taught me how to read. She was tougher than the streets. But here, on the courthouse steps in Manhattan, she was nobody. At least, that's what they thought. 3 NYPD officers stood at the doors. Young, cocky, polite nods for the suits. Sharp eyes for everyone else. Morning, counselor. Good luck in there, sir. They smiled for the Armani crowd. Then Evelyn came forward. The smiles disappeared. Keep it moving, Grandma. Courthouse ain't no daycare. They laughed. A law student holding a casebook whispered to his friend, "Yo, that was cold." His buddy shook his head. "Bro, that's New York. They don't respect nobody unless you look like money." Evelyn didn't respond. She just stood there. Steady. The officers looked her over. One leaned in. "You lost? Need us to call a nursing home?" Another chuckled. "Bet she's just here to watch. Ain't got business inside." The crowd stirred. Phones tilted. Every angle catching it now. One student whispered, "She's way too calm." Another said, "Yeah, like she knows something we don't." The first officer barked again. "Step aside, lady. Important people coming through." 2 lawyers brushed past. One of them smirked. "Don't waste the judge's time, Grandma." The cops grinned. The students winced. The crowd stayed quiet. Evelyn said nothing. Her silence? It rattled them. "Don't stare at me like that," one muttered. "Old lady thinks she's somebody," another sneered. The crowd murmured. A woman whispered, "That could be my mother." A man added, "That's somebody's grandmother right there. Show some respect." But the cops didn't care. They laughed louder. One officer turned to the students. "You recording this? Go ahead. Nothing to see here." The students didn't stop recording. They just kept their cameras steady. One whispered, "Watch. Something's off." The other nodded. "She's not here by mistake." And they were right. She wasn't lost. She wasn't confused. She wasn't just another face on the steps. To them, she looked like nobody. But when the gavel dropped, every smirk, every laugh, every insult would come back to haunt them. "Ma'am, you lost." The officer's tone sharp. "Judge's chambers ain't for visitors." His buddy laughed. "She probably thinks this is a tour." The third officer smirked. "Grandma looking for the gift shop." The crowd chuckled nervously. Then a voice. She probably here for a food stamps hearing. Another added. Yeah, court's full of folks like that. Always begging. Two lawyers brushed by. One shook his head. People like her waste the court's time. The other sipped his coffee. Judge got real cases. Not charity cases. Phones tilted higher. Red lights blinking. A woman in line whispered. That could be my mama. The man beside her shrugged. Not mine. My mama knows her place. The first officer leaned in again. Where you headed, lady? Jury duty? Don't think so. The second grinned. Maybe she's here to complain about potholes. The third officer chuckled. Bag probably got her lunch and crossword. The crowd shifted. Low voices overlapping. Yo, that's disrespectful. She's just standing there. Why they pressing her? Because they can. That's New York for you. Two Columbia students kept their cameras up. One whispered, why won't she say something? The other shook his head. She's holding back. You can feel it. The first officer straightened. You got ID? Or you just sightseeing? The second officer nudged him. Careful, man. She might pull out a library card. Laughter. The crowd groaned. Come on, man, leave her alone. Somebody tell them to stop. Call a supervisor. But Evelyn stayed quiet. Her hand gripping the bag tighter. Not a word. Another lawyer passed. Move her already. Judge doesn't need delays. The officer replied loud. Don't worry. She'll be out of here in a minute. Phones zoomed in. Students whispered again. You see her eyes? Yeah. That ain't fear. That's something else. The insults kept coming. Grandma, you miss your bus? You think this is bingo night. Lady, you holding up real business. The crowd started arguing. She's got rights. She's blocking the steps. She ain't hurting nobody. She shouldn't be here if she don't belong. The tension climbed. Every word sharper. Every whisper louder. And still, Evelyn said nothing. Her silence hung heavy. Her grip locked on that bag. One student leaned close to another. Whatever's in there, it matters. His friend nodded. Yeah, that bag's about to change everything. Because what was inside that bag would silence them all. Move it, or I'll drag you out myself. The officer's shout shook the steps. The crowd hushed. Phones aimed. Then it came. The slap. Hard. Sudden. The sound cracked like a gunshot. Gasps everywhere. Murmurs. One man shouted, leave her alone. She's somebody's grandma. Another, you can't put hands on her. The officer snarled. You want the same? Step forward. Boos rained down. Try it, someone yelled. You're done, another screamed. The second cop spread his arms. Keep moving. Back up. A woman screamed. Back up? He just hit her. The third barked. Phones down or we clear the steps. But the phones didn't drop. More came up. Every angle recording. A student whispered, this is live. It's trending. His buddy muttered, hashtag Grandma Eve. Already blowing up. The first cop leaned closer to Evelyn. Last chance, lady. Move or get dragged. Her voice calm. You're making a mistake. The words carried. The crowd fell quiet. Someone muttered, she said mistake. Another whispered, she's not scared. She knows. The officer sneered. Mistake? Lady, you're nobody. Shout shot back. She's not nobody. She's a human being. Respect your elders. The second cop barked again. Disperse now. A man yelled, you disperse. This is public property. Another added, we pay your salary. The tension climbed. The noise rose. Cops shouting. Crowd screaming. Phones flashing. The officer pulled her arm. Get down the steps now. The crowd roared. Stop touching her. She hasn't done a thing. A young woman yelled. Yo, I'm live streaming this. 10,000 watching. The cops spun. Turn that off. The girl shouted back. Too late. The world's watching you. Reporters pushed closer. One shouted, Officer, why'd you strike her? Another yelled, what's her charge? The cops ignored them. Faces red. Tempers rising. The students whispered again. She's calm, bro, too calm. The other nodded. Watch. Something's coming. The crowd pressed in. Let her go. She's not a criminal. You don't even know who she is. The first officer hissed, "That bag better have ID." The second laughed, "Bag's got bingo cards." The third added, "Or bus tickets." The crowd booed. "That's racist. Shame on you. You'll regret this." Twitter exploded. Screenshots flying. Clips uploaded. Hashtag Grandma Eve climbing. Hashtag NYPD trending with it. The officer yanked her again. Evelyn's voice steady. "You're making a mistake." The crowd gasped. Someone yelled, "She said it again." Another cried, "Yo, what's in that bag?" Chants started. "Let her go. Let her go. Justice. Justice." The steps thundered with voices. The cops shouted louder. "Clear the steps. Back off." But nobody moved. Not one person. The noise surged higher. The tension about to snap. And then, the heavy doors creaked open. A voice called out. Deep. Commanding. "Officers." The bailiff stepped outside. The doors swung wide. A voice thundered. "All rise. Judge Johnson is entering." Everything stopped. Every head turned. Every phone recording. Gasps shot through the crowd. "She's the judge." "No way. You gotta be kidding me." Cameras flashed. Reporters scrambled. The air cracked with disbelief. The first officer stuttered, "Judge Johnson." The second whispered, "That's her." The third muttered, "Tell me this ain't real." The students whispered fast, "I knew it, bro. I knew it. She's not just anybody. That's the judge." The crowd grew louder. "You hit a judge. You touched a federal judge. You're done." Phones shook in hands. Twitter exploded. Hashtag Grandma Eve shot higher. Hashtag Judge Johnson followed. The officers froze. No jokes now. No smirks. Just panic. One hissed, "Don't say a word." Another muttered, "We're finished." The third gripped his cap. "What do we even do?" Evelyn moved forward. Steady. Calm. Not a word wasted. She walked right past them. Crowd parting. Cameras flashing. Every eye locked on her. A woman shouted, "That's Judge Johnson from Atlanta." Another voice, "She's on the docket today." Voices overlapped. They humiliated a sitting judge. They laid hands on her. They're cooked. Inside, the bailiff called again. "All rise." Judge Johnson presiding. Lawyers scrambled to their feet. Reporters surged forward. Shutters clicked nonstop. The first officer whispered, "We hit the judge." The second answered, "Career's gone. We're toast." The third whispered, "Not just careers. Lawsuits. Charges." Students whispered to each other, "History, man. This is history." Every second live. Every second viral. The crowd chanted now. "Judge Johnson. Judge Johnson. Justice. Justice." Phones lifted higher. Evelyn reached the bench. She took her seat. The robe draped over her shoulders. The gavel rested in her hand. The same woman mocked as Grandma now towered above them. The same woman shoved aside now ruled the room. One officer muttered, "God help us." Another swallowed hard. "She owns this courtroom." The third lowered his head. "We're finished." The buzz grew louder. "She's in charge. She's the law now." They just slapped the law in the face. And in that moment, the shift was complete. The crowd knew it. The officers knew it. The world watching online knew it. They hadn't disrespected just an old woman. They had humiliated a judge. But the reckoning had only just begun. The courtroom stood. "All rise," the bailiff called. Evelyn took her seat. The robe draped across her shoulders. The gavel in hand. Silence. Heavy. Unshakable. The three officers stood frozen. Straight backs. Sweat on brows. Eyes darting. She spoke. "Step forward." They hesitated. The bailiff barked. "You heard the judge." Shoes scraped the floor. The three moved forward. Her voice steady. "You laid hands on a sitting judge." Gasps ripped through the courtroom. Murmurs. Then silence again. One officer stammered, "Your Honor, we." She cut him off. "Enough." Her tone sharp. Controlled. Another tried. "It was a misunderstanding." Her eyes locked on him. Justice is never a misunderstanding. The room held its breath. Every lawyer, every reporter, every student in the gallery She raised her gavel. Effective immediately, suspension. Gasps again. Pending investigation, termination likely. The crowd erupted. Claps. Cheers. Chants. Justice for Grandma Eve. Justice. Justice. The officers dropped their heads. No words left. Only silence. One whispered, "We're done." Another muttered, "Our career's gone." The third swallowed hard. She warned us. Reporters shouted questions. "Judge Johnson, what happens next? Will there be charges?" She answered calm. "This is not about me. It's about justice." The crowd hushed again. Every ear waiting. Every phone recording. Her voice steady. This was not just an insult to me. It was an insult to the law. To every citizen who comes here expecting fairness. Murmurs of agreement spread. A woman whispered, "She's right." A man nodded, "She's speaking for all of us." The chant rose louder. Justice for Grandma Eve. Justice for all. Evelyn lifted the gavel once more. This court will not tolerate abuse. Not of me. Not of anyone. The gavel struck. The sound echoed. And the reckoning was sealed. But Evelyn's message wasn't about herself. It was about all of us. It didn't stay in that courtroom. The story broke wide. CNN ran the headline. NYPD officers suspended after confrontation with judge. The New York Times posted an op-ed. Respect is not optional. On TikTok, millions of reels. Clips tagged #RespectOurElders. Comments stacked. "This could be my grandma." "Protect our elders." Accountability now. One clip hit 10 million views overnight. Another racked up 50,000 comments. A student reporter said, "This isn't just about one woman. It's about the system." Another replied, "Yeah." She became the face of something bigger. Evelyn sat down for an interview. Her words cut sharp. Respect is not earned by your badge or your title. It's earned by how you treat people, especially the weakest among us. Clips of that line went everywhere. News anchors repeated it. Activists quoted it on signs. Back in Atlanta, her neighborhood gathered. Candles lit. Prayers said. One neighbor spoke. "She raised us like her own kids." Another added, "She stood for us her whole life. Now we stand for her." Young activists picked up the chant. "Respect our elders. No justice, no peace." Her story became their rally cry. And across the country, from New York to California, her name carried weight. Evelyn Johnson, the judge they tried to silence. But here's where you come in. How many Evelyns do we ignore every day? How many grandmothers pushed aside? How many uncles, neighbors, fathers suffer in silence while people look away? Voices overlap. Not my problem. Somebody else will step in. Just keep walking. But silence is costly, and silence protects no one. Don't just watch this. Don't scroll past. Share it. Comment your story below. Subscribe, not for me, for every voice that deserves to be heard. Treat people with dignity. Stand up when it's uncomfortable. Be the witness that speaks when others stay quiet. Because tomorrow, it could be your family, your neighbor, your friend. Evelyn's words remain strong, unshaken. Dignity is not a privilege. It's a right.